Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where last episode we just put a mining module up to our station. So let's actually go ahead and utilize that, shall we? We're going to hop over to the Brazil Space Station Core, and we're going to go ahead and fly that, because we need to take this guy down to the surface. So first things first, I want to double check that all of these fuel tanks are full. In fact, the best way to do that would probably be here. Actually, no, that's not the best place because that groups it all together. Okay, so we'll go ahead and make sure that all of these fuel tanks are full. They are indeed. Perfect. So let's go ahead and detach this. I didn't refill our monoprop, but we should have enough monoprop. No worries there. Let's just go ahead and get a little bit of distance here. There we go. Should be good. And at this point, we want to begin descent. I don't actually care where on the moon, as long as it's a reasonably flat location. We could do it somewhere around here, but I'd rather actually do it a little bit over on this side because of the light situation. So we can do something kind of along the lines of this. Should do just fine. We'll go ahead and warp to that maneuver. And that will, of course, be a pure retrograde burn. And so we will position for that. Over to orbital retrograde. RCS, you should be off at this point. We are not going to use any more RCS here if we can at all help it. So I think at this point, we just go ahead and begin our landing burn. I'm going to go into surface mode, and we're going to go ahead and extend our landing legs now, just so that I don't forget. Fantastic. And we are now in landing mode. We are going to be landing. The question is where? And we need to bleed off this speed anyway. It may as well be, here. This is a reasonably clear looking area, so we'll go ahead and take that. Excellent. So we've got a little bit more burning to do here. We have a thrust to weight of 2.32, so that's perfect. And of course, that will continue as we burn out these tanks. We don't actually care what tanks we burn from here because we aren't planning to detach this, so it is completely fine. We are currently heading away from the space station core, and that is, of course, exactly what we were planning to do. Just wondering here, no, I think it's because of the upscaling. I was just wondering if anti-aliasing turned itself off. I did notice that it had upped itself to 4K when I started this up again, and I was just like, I don't know why KSP is changing my resolution options without me telling it to. I'm very confused by this. I do want it to go to 4K, but not with this graphics card. So for now, we will just continue to burn off our speed here. And of course, we are burning at about a fairly low rate, actually, as we continue to reduce our speed. But our horizontal speed is continually reducing here. We can see our horizontal speed here is about 135 meters per second. And I'm just going to hold here, and we will reduce our horizontal speed over the next little while. Our vertical speed is increasing, so we may as well actually just be right at that horizon. There we go. And our horizontal speed is dropping precipitously. At this point, we're less horizontal than vertical, so I'm going to go up to pure retrograde, except we are pretty high up over the lunar surface at this point. So let's just go ahead and burn here until we have burned off all of our horizontal speed. We're going to be coming down, looks like, just outside that crater, and I am okay with that. Okay, we'll call that good enough on the horizontal speed. And let's go ahead and warp our way forward here. Although, I do want to check. I think, yeah, we're on 4x anti-aliasing. Okay, so I guess it's just the upscale method or something. So our suicide burn timing, according to this, I do want to have the landing option up here. Suicide burn countdown is about 1 minute 30 seconds. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and warp forward towards that a bit. And as usual, I'm going to not quite trust this because I tend not to. I want to get the KER panel hidden. There we go. And we'll go ahead and warp forward a little bit more, and I will burn this at about 5 seconds, as I tend to. It's not like we're going to be short on fuel, right? So it'll be okay. 6 and 5. Okay, let's actually take it to like 2. That's a little bit better, anyway. Yeah, it should be okay. Let's let this come on down to about 0.5. Yeah, this will be fine right here. This should be absolutely golden. Wonderful. So we'll just go ahead and bring our speed right on down. We are still moving pretty quickly, but that's kind of the point of a suicide burn. And if we end up losing this module, it's not the biggest deal. This is a very, very replaceable module. We have brought our suicide burn countdown up a bit. And wondering why we're not actually seeing our landing zone here. Or actually, am I? Yeah, I am. We're just higher up than I thought we were. Fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and cut this because we can let our suicide burn countdown come back down towards about 0.5. And we'll burn it again. Okay, we can let it come down even further. Sure. We can continue to let this come down. Something along the lines of this should be reasonable. We're currently about 1 kilometer above the surface, so we will just slowly come on down here. Once again, I'm going to let our suicide burn countdown tick down a little bit. Actually, I'm going to put us on stability assist here. Okay, we are about 400 meters up and moving at about 30 meters per second. Let's just go ahead and bring this right on gently down. Something along the lines of... I mean, technically I'm burning a little early here. There's no doubt about that. But I'm okay with it. We should have plenty of fuel. We're moving at about 4 meters per second. I'm just going to slowly decrease that. We're moving at about 6 now, but I'm going to decrease that a little bit more here and a little bit more. There we go. The feet didn't quite know what to do with that landing, but we are completely good to go. Let's go ahead and extend these radiators out. We've still got 2,100 meters per second to get back to the station. That is more than enough. Of course, that will decrease as we have additional fuel, or additional ore in here. Let's go ahead and get these deployed. Excellent. And let's begin our mining. We have no ground contact? What? I'm sorry, what? We definitely have ground contact here. I'm telling you, this is ground contact. We could retract our landing legs. I mean, that would do the trick, right? Yeah, now we have ground contact. Okay, that's a little awkward. So we have to land on our landing legs and then retract them and sit on our engine. And then when we take off, we can just deploy these again. Okay, well, that's fine. And that will slowly fill up over time. So while that's happening, let's hop back to the Space Center and let's send up the second one of those, which will also work as kind of a temporary storage module if it's up there. We don't have much ore storage right now, and I was planning on sending up another ore storage module as like our semi-final module for that station. So let's go ahead and open up the mining module. This one is absolutely fine to use, and we will launch this guy. We are going to send him up, and we are, of course, going to dock it up to the space station while we are waiting for the other one to fill up. And we don't need this window. Thank you very much. Throttle up, and we should be completely good to go here. So off we go. Sending the exact same thing to the station again. I just want to have 2 of them there. So that way one can be mining at any given time. So we're going about 100 meters per second. Let's begin heading on over towards the prograde marker. This is going over maybe a little more quickly than I want to. Of course, we are pretty stable with this. There's no doubt about that. We've got a lot of roll authority, not a lot of yaw authority over here. Currently have an apoapsis height of about 10 kilometers. That's fine. Just head on over here. Fighting the atmosphere. We're definitely a little on the stable side. I think that we should probably raise these a bit. And our heading is, of course, having some issues because of that roll authority. Yeah, I think we should probably consider raising this. About 20 kilometers is our current apoapsis height. That's okay. Make that 25. Make that 30, and at this point, I'm just going to lock to the prograde marker. And up we go. We are definitely going to have some eccentricity here. Or rather, some inclination here. There's no doubt about that one. We want to pull that down a bit if we can. We're moving a little quick, but that's pretty expected with this. So it should be fine. We'll take this up to, once again, about 80 kilometers. That'll do. And we will go ahead and coast until we are up here, and we will use this same engine to get into a circularized orbit. Basically, the same ascent profile that we had before. Okay, let's go ahead and make our way over here. Very slowly. Over to the maneuver node. Apparently, this is going to be a 21-second burn, and it's going to be in about 2 minutes. So we're just coasting right now. Okay. We've overshot it slightly. I'm bringing it back. Once again, once we upgrade our unmanned probes, things will get much better. Okay. So we'll hold it about here. We'll be entering space momentarily, at which point we want to get rid of these. Actually, we may as well get rid of them now, right? Let's go ahead and do it. Get rid of them. Excellent. They will, of course, re-enter. Okay, we are now in space. Burn time of 19 seconds, so we know we want this at T minus 9.5 seconds. We'll go ahead and warp towards that. And we will burn this in just a moment. Right about now, in fact. Excellent. And off we go, and once again, we'll offload any remaining fuel in this tank into these, because this is a far more efficient engine for vacuum operations. I do want to use this engine for the actual initial circularization here, just because... I'm going to bring this a little further. There we go. Just because I want to make absolutely sure that we have the thruster weight to do it. So let's go ahead and transfer that fuel. We'll pin this open. Actually, I should remember to extend our solar panels as well. That is a thing that I should definitely do. We'll pin all 4 of these open. About like so. And we'll just transfer that fuel on out of there. There we go. We should start seeing a dramatically increased amount of delta V, except that the staging system gets confused, just as I do, with the lack of fuel flow that actually flows fuel. I don't know how it works, but apparently it does. So that's fine. We'll transfer any remaining fuel up there. There we go. We will now stage this. And there we go. We no longer need these pinned open. And we have 1752 meters per second to get where we need to get. And it looks like we're going to have to do an orbit. That's okay. No worries about that one. And it'll be a little later than this, actually. It'll be sometime around here. And we will burn that. So we don't need this. And we don't need quite as much in terms of the prograde burn. This is probably more than fine. Yeah, this is absolutely fine. We'll go ahead and do that, and we will warp to that maneuver. That is, of course, a pro-grade... Nope, I canceled it. We'll warp to that maneuver. That is, of course, a pro-grade burn. And so we'll just get positioned for that as soon as we get there. Goodbye, first stage. We'll untrack you eventually, when I remember. Or when performance forces me to, more like. Okay, so let's go ahead and get turned here. And we will burn this at T-minus 1 minute and 7.5 seconds. So let's go ahead and warp towards that. And we will burn this right about now. And this is not directly on the node, so let's just go ahead and move to the node. Excellent. Okay, so we are in position on the node here. And we are off to the moon. Technically, we're not going to land on the moon with this just yet. We're just going to dock it up. And then we'll check in on the mining status of the other one. But it is mining in this time, so that is great. And as far as the amount of delta V that we have to get back to the station, I don't know how much it'll actually require, but it shouldn't be too bad. At least unless we launch retrograde. Which, pass on that. I'm not going to be launching retrograde. I don't know that we actually need this much in terms of power, but it's, you know, useful. Might as well have it. It's not hurting us in terms of our weight. So we've got about another 450 meters per second left in this burn. That is completely fine. I'm actually going to physics warp this burn a bit. Just because it's taking a while. Once we start drifting off the node, though, which we are doing a little bit, I'm going to take it off of physics warp and adjust our heading. There we go. And we'll put it back on physics warp for a little bit here. Okay, back off of physics warp, and let's just chase that node a tiny amount. That's probably good enough. Let's see. Yeah, that's fine. That is completely okay. So we do have a slight inclination, but I don't exactly care. We're going to go ahead and bring this in about like this. I do want it to be fairly elliptical. There we go. So that we have a good amount. Actually, it doesn't even need to be like this. It needs to be just circular. A circular orbit, a big circular orbit, will give us a lot of opportunities to rendezvous. So we'll just go ahead and warp to that. We'll make that nice and quick. Here we come, Moon. This is not the quickest warp it's ever been, that's for sure. Ooh, that's a nice lunar eclipse going on there. It's over now. We weren't in line with it, I guess. But we were at one point. Kind of missed it. Sorry about that. But we are going to go ahead and flip over to retrograde here. This is going to be a, 11.5 second burn. Yep, 11.5. Or T-minus 11.5 seconds, more specifically. We'll go ahead and warp towards that. And we burn it now. Excellent. It's a pure retrograde burn. We don't need to do anything other than retrograde here. And let's just go ahead and let ourselves be captured by the moon. Probably don't need to do an inclination change. We can do that later. And we'll just get this circularized. Good enough. Plenty good. That eccentricity is fine. We'll go ahead and set that as our target. Yeah, we're about almost a full degree off. That's okay. We don't actually care. Let's go ahead and see where this would be. Okay, so we probably just want to delay this burn to be about like that. That's about 12.7 kilometers out. We can change our timing on that a little bit to be 4.1 kilometers, and then we can tweak our parameters here a little. It looks like 4.0 is about as best we get without doing an inclination change here. That's good enough. Okay. Looks good to me. We'll go ahead and warp to that maneuver. That's only a 13-second burn, so T-minus 7.5 seconds. This is going to be slightly off of retrograde because we have to get that slight normal burn in there. We'll burn that at T-minus 7 seconds. We'll just warp over towards that. Okay, we'll burn it now. And let's see how good we get. This is probably going to be a good enough burn, but we'll see. We're definitely doing some node chasing here, that's for sure. Okay, how are we doing? 0.7 kilometers? That is good enough for me. Okay, let's go ahead and warp in to about here. Here we come. And let's go ahead and switch over to target retrograde. That's going to need to be what this burn will be, and will be about 200 meters per second apart. Right? 220 meters per second apart. That's fine. We'll go ahead and warp in. That's 1 minute away. That's 2 minutes away. Okay. So, what is the duration of burn here? Well, I mean, we need to burn target retrograde here, not like this. This isn't what we want. So, this isn't really going to work. I'm going to warp into here. And we will burn this at something along the lines of when we are probably around 3 kilometers away. Let's see how that feels. We were definitely a little off on that in our previous attempt because I tried to get in a little closer. So let's go ahead and burn it at about 3 kilometers, I think. Okay. Let's see how this feels. Kind of reasonable, actually. We're over halfway through this burn. We're still moving 100 meters per second apart. It's still a little late, it feels like. But actually, that's really not bad. That is really, really not bad. Okay, let's go ahead and point to the target. And let's do a little bit of a get closer burn. So we'll get in at about, we'll call it somewhere around 3 meters per second, maybe 5. Yeah, 5 should be good. There we go. And we'll flip over to retrograde because this is just to get closer. We are going to then do a braking burn in a moment. There we go, and let's go ahead and time warp forward here and get a little bit closer. Let's see, this one here is the processing module, right? I think so. Yes, it is. That's fine. Okay. So our angling is definitely a little bit odd. However, we can make this work, for sure. For one thing, we can just rotate the station. It's not a big deal. I'm going to go ahead and begin braking here. Down to about 1 meter per second. Actually, we can just go ahead and completely kill our velocity here. Okay. I'm going to hit prograde here. Like so. And then brake this with RCS. Get over to here. There. That'll do. And we'll go ahead and set this as our target. And we'll turn around towards the target. Something along the lines of this. And now we'll just align the station as well. So the station is going to be controlling from here. And we're going to set this docking port as our target. Fantastic. And I'm not sure which way we need to go to actually get the target. And yeah, it's a little awkward because it's going to wiggle. There's no doubt about that. Okay. We probably need to go the other direction here. Yeah, that's definitely the case. It's much easier when you can just tell the SAS system to point to target, but whatever. And, can we stop? I can see the target node over here now. So I now know the direction we need to go, which tends to help. These gyroscopes feel like they're a little powerful for what we've got going on here. We might want to disable some of them. Like, for example, put that one on SAS only. Yeah, probably. Okay, so let's position here and freeze those physics. And then just tweak that a little bit and freeze those physics. Okay. So I'm now going to swap back here. And we are going to head into the target at about 1 meter per second. And I'm just going to make a couple of quick tweaks here. There we go. Looks pretty decent. We are, of course, going to have to make a few additional vectoring adjustments here. There we go. Looks good. Okay. Let's do a little bit of a break here. Down to around... this is fine. And we'll then adjust our heading ever so slightly. And adjust our actual... Well, adjust our velocity, actually, was what I was doing there, not our heading. Our heading is being adjusted right now, sure. But we need to adjust the heading and the velocity separately. So let's just go ahead and get this docking in. Do something along the lines of that. And let's get this docked up. In theory. There we go. Perfect. So there is another mining module attached to our processing module. And with that, let's go ahead and hop back to the Space Center and take a look at how our original mining module that we put on the lunar surface is doing. Or should I say the mooner surface? Let's see here. So this mining module should still be here, and should still have been mining that whole time. And it should have about a day's worth of mining in it. Let's see how we're doing. Looks like it's still mining. It's a little bit over half done. So that is absolutely great. And with that, it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we are going to take this up to the station and possibly bring up an ore storage module and begin proper mining operations. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and I will see you all next time.